This video is the first in a series of 3 where we will be looking at different techniques of painting garden flowers. You can do this using a canvas board, a stretched canvas, or canvas paper. Less of your choice. I would recommend taking painter's tape like so and putting it around each of the edges of your canvas. This will create a nice frame once we remove the tape, and also it sets a boundary to how far our paint will go, and also protects the table. Choose a background color. I've chosen a lime green. Pour a little of that on the canvas. Now this paint is older, so I'm undoing the lid and seeing what I can get out. As the paint ages, it leaves these little globby bits, which we can make use of as texture in some paintings. I don't need it so much in this one. You just roll with that sort of thing. So we cover the background. Smooth out our lines. Using a dark green, I'm using a round brush, dip it in the paint, and then just dotting it onto the canvas. Arched across the top and the bottom to create a bower, and the sides of the garden below. And yes, I sped this up so it didn't get tedious, so feel free to pause the video at any time so you can fill in your painting before the next step. So next I mixed some of the green, the light and the dark, to get a different shade. And then after mixing that, dotted that on the painting as well. This is so that there's a variation in the foliage. So this continues. I also created a deeper shade of green, not as dark as the one we started with. And this is, again, to add variation, shadow and light in the foliage. Our next focus is the pathway. So I'm going to take some brown and blend a bit of yellows to make it lighter. And I'm going to establish where the path is. Taking a bit of the darker brown, I'm outlining and filling in, not really solid, just to give a hint of where the door is and the windows of a building. This could be a home, a cottage at the end of the garden, and we are alluding to it. We're not going to focus on a lot of detail, but we are going to put a basic outline. And I'm using a thinner brush to create an outline of the cottage and deepen the shadow around the windows and the doors. Using the side of the brush and just tapping it on. I don't have as much paint in the bristles. I'm just tapping it on, and that gives an illusion of stone because the paint is varied. It's going to be a little deeper in color at the bottom. Leave a few spaces of the yellow shining through, or the green. Dipping the fine brush into the dark green and twisting it back and forth like so. We drag it down, twist, and then we make tendrils. These are the vines. The lines won't necessarily need to be fully connected all the way down because we're going to fill them in with leaves. So you just continue until you are happy with the volume of vines hanging down from your trees. Mixing the light and dark green together, but not super well because you want variation of the colors. We dot those along on either side of your vine lines to represent all the leaves that are there. And this just fills in that space. Using our varied mixture of green, I'm using the fine brush and I'm just dotting in this other shade of green to fill in the spaces and add more depth in our painting. Adding in a bit of deeper green between your leaves creates more shadow. Using a toothpick, We now dip into the red and dot along the vines and through the trees our little tiny red flowers. Adding the tiny red flowers takes a while, and even though I've sped this up, please take your time and fill in as many as you like. I'm going all across the top at this point. Next, we are using the orange and dotting the paint onto some of the foliage, and then using the toothpick, just going around the circle, around the outer edge of the dot, and you are drawing the paint outward. So it looks like a little pinwheel. Be fairly generous with the dot of paint so that you have enough to draw out. Isn't that fun? It's actually pretty relaxing too. Next, we'll take some purple paint and using our fine paintbrush, just dip the end of it. And this technique is just coming down with the end and giving it a little spin, just back and forth. Dot down and spin. And this creates a nice little circle. I'm just adding some of the flowers at the sides. I'll do this on both sides. Up and around, so they spill up into the trees and down into the other flowers. And you can do this, or you can put them where you desire on the painting. Using the fine brush, we're going to dip into the yellow and just with the tip, drop little yellow circles, little dots to represent smaller flowers. The dots that we leave with the fine brush are larger than a toothpick would leave. And you just continue with the tiny yellow flowers until you're satisfied with their placement. Using the white, we're now going to take the opposite end of the brush and dip it in the white. And this is going to give us a nice round little dot. And we're going to dot these in and around the yellow. Just sprinkle them around so it balances out the composition of flowers. Using a toothpick, we're going to dip into the purple and then dot a few little dots in the center of our star flowers. Then, taking the toothpick, we will dip into the white and dot a little center in the middle of our round purple flowers. And again, using the toothpick, we're going to dip into the red and center our little yellow flowers, the white flowers, until you have added a center to each of the little flowers. Not too much left now. Mixing a little black and white, I want to create a charcoal gray. And I'm going to use this charcoal gray with the fine brush and dot this along the path. And this is going to add some shadow and depth in our path. And cleaning the brush. Now I'm going to use a dark brown. With the same technique as before, I'm just going to dab some of the brown on and around the black. You are still able to see some of the lighter brown that we originally put down, but we just want to create more definition in the path. So there's rocks on the path, and now we have both highlight and shadow. And that completes the painting. And now my favorite part, we get to peel off the tape, and voila, we reveal this beautiful frame that is already there. And there you have it. We are done. Thank you for painting with me.